Hey, welcome everybody. My name is Michael Russo. I'm the multimedia manager with the County of San Diego, so welcome to my hometown. Great to have Natoa here this year. I am not antisocial. The only reason I'm sitting up here by myself is because our two speakers today to talk about lighting are both going to give us kind of a freewheeling, fun, freewheeling, fun, hands-on look at lighting today and the art of lighting. Obviously, lighting can make someone look really good or really bad, okay? It's one of the major things you need to know if you're going to create great content. And both of these gentlemen produce great content and have for years. Before I introduce them, just one quick thing, and you're going to hear this before every session. Excuse me, silence your cell phones. At least I don't say ask people to silence your cell phones and pagers. Nobody has a pager anymore, so please silence your cell phones. First off, we're going to start with Jonathan Ewell with the City of Austin, Texas. Jonathan is the one standing over here. Wave to the crowd, Jonathan.
Hello, hello.
Jonathan has been with the City of Austin for more than 5 years now, 18 years experience total as a photojournalist, editor, producer with a background in news as well as government broadcasting. He's a multiple Emmy winner, Edward R. Murrow and DuPont Award winner as well. He has won Photojournalist of the Year honors in both Oklahoma and Texas. Our second panelist today will be Isaac Cadriel of San Diego, 30 years as a photojournalist. He started in news in Phoenix. Isaac's the one sitting down there. I don't know if you can see him behind the lights there.
Hi guys, how are you?
He moved to San Diego 16 years ago, became chief photojournalist at the Fox affiliate here in San Diego, and he held that title for 13 years. Also a multiple Emmy winner, does a lot of freelance work these days. What's great about both of these men is that they have a real passion for this field. They're very creative and really enjoy telling people stories. Every good story is a people story. And with their skills in videography and lighting, they can take the ordinary and really make it extraordinary. There'll be a lot of time for questions. Matter of fact, we'll do Q&A as we go today. Again, very open, very freewheeling. So let me introduce Jonathan Ewell and Isaac Cadriel.
Well, good morning. How's everybody doing? Did everybody survive last night? Yeah? Okay, good. We're going to talk about lighting this morning. All right, just a quick show of hands. How many of you are shooters?
Nice. Very
nice.
Love it.
How many of you do something else? All right. Excellent. We're going to talk a little bit about, first off, the main thing you need to think about when lighting is Kelvin. Who in here knows what Kelvin is? Awesome. Stand up right there. Yeah. Tell us what Kelvin is. Very good. Very good. Who doesn't know what Kelvin is? And it's okay. You can raise your hand if you don't. Oh, everybody does. All right. Good. All right. Kelvin's the first golden rule, okay? Make sure that you're white balancing to what you're using light-wise. Do you want to go in on a little bit about that?
Yeah, no. Jonathan has a really, really nice setup here. I love it. I walked in, I'm like, oh man, we can bring in a subject in here and just light them and make some crazy money if we wanted to. You know, I love it. I've been doing news for a very, very long time, and now I'm in the production world. So news would have me going left and right and moving, looking at the clock all the time. Now I'm in production, kind of slow down a little bit. So I love this setup that he's got here because it's a perfect example of what the possibilities you could do. In my kit, it's very, very simple. I have a couple of soft boxes and a couple of mini pros. Very, very simple. Set up in 5-6 minutes, you're done, out the door. And in news, you gotta have a simple setup. If you come up in news with something like this, you're gonna be there all day long doing one interview. You have to have something simple. So that's where I come in and teach you how to set up something in about 5 or 6 minutes, in the door, out the door. Because in news world, you have one enemy, and that's the clock on the wall. If you miss your slot, you're gonna be in very big trouble, and you guys already know that. So I know I'm speaking to a kind of a big crowd here, but for the news folks, you guys know what I'm talking about. You got to be in, you got to be out, you got to impress. Okay? Go ahead, Jonathan.
I mean, he's right. Yeah, and in our world now, you have more time to take the time to actually light something. But again, you want to be able to light something fast, quick, get in and out the door. And we're going to go through a few lights and kind of show you what I have in my kit.
Yeah, if you guys have any questions while we're doing this, feel free. This is very, very relaxed. Just throw off some questions. We'll do the best we can to answer your questions.
Most definitely. First off, let me grab light back here. Who doesn't know what a pro light is? Everybody knows what a pro light is. All right, well, good. This is a pro light, very cheap light, very fast and efficient light. Tungsten, usually about 32 Kelvin. So very quick, easy setup. It's got a nice focus wheel and barn doors. Barn doors, I think, are essential. Okay? The reason that is because you can knock down the light. You don't want to use as much light as possible. You want to use as little light as possible to make it look as natural as possible. There's also another way to light things, which is called Rembrandt lighting, which is more when you get into the heavy shadows that you would see in movies. You want to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, this is what I usually do, and we can probably do a quick setup because I know we don't want to run out of time. So let's do a quick subject here.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Let's put them right here. I know this is kind of a. Here's the first thing you guys do when you guys walk into a room. You're going to do a sit-down interview. The first thing you do is look at your background, look at your space, how much space you have. That's the first thing you got to do. And then as you keep doing this multiple times, you're already going to know, okay, I got to put my subject here, get him away from the wall. You don't want to use any white walls. Stay away from white walls and put your subject maybe about 5 or 6 feet away from walls. And that's what Jonathan was saying about shadows. You don't want to do any shadows whatsoever, and you kind of want to create that depth of field. So is there anybody that wants to, I don't want to pick on anybody, is there a subject that we can probably...
I'll pick on someone. That's okay.
Okay, let's pick on somebody.
Let's pick on somebody at random here.
How about
No,
this guy
no,
right here?
audience.
Let's
Yeah,
get this
let's
guy.
take this guy. Let's take this guy right here.
Let's get him.
Tell us your name.
I'm Mark Kaufman.
Hey, Mark, how are you?
I'm good.
Good.
I'm probably the whitest person you could be.
It's all good.
All good. Yeah.
The first thing you want to do, this is what I do. You guys can take whatever you guys want to do, but this is what I do. I usually shake Mark's hand. How you doing, Mark?
I'm good.
Good.
Do you like the handshake?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. I'll shake Mark's hand and get to know him. He's feel comfortable because you can think about it. A lot of the people you interview, they might not have been on TV. They're really nervous. They start sweating. That's another thing maybe Johnny can talk about. And then they just look horrible, like all the sweat running down their face. So there's something you can do about that. But the main thing you can do is get to know that person. Get to know them like, just talk to them just like regular. You can talk to them and say, this is what you're going to do. And as you're setting up, especially if you're by yourself, you can just keep talking to them while you're setting up. Usually if I'm with a reporter, the reporter will kind of talk to him and I'm doing my thing. It's a little bit faster. But you have to kind of keep that in mind. Never stay quiet. Just keep, hey, how are you doing? How was your day?
I'm good. It's
Put
fine.
his microphone
Thank
on.
you.
All right, let's get started. Okay, first, you're all good. First thing, what I usually do is watch my background. So I have this light here, so I kind of want to move it, watch my background, probably set the camera maybe about right where she's at. Let's go ahead and try and do that. So I'm gonna, if you don't mind, Jonathan, move
go
this
ahead.
out the way. Jonathan's gonna.
Is this too close?
And please feel free to ask any questions. This is something that happens on a daily basis. What we do now, instead of having to move Mark, I usually move the camera. I don't like once I set him down, I don't want to move him at all. It's very he's kind of going through the lens already. So the less nervous he gets, the better. So we're going to leave Mark right where he's at, and if I have to move the camera, I'll move the camera. So let's get a key light on him first.
All right.
There he is. Look at him. Like a good-looking guy right there.
What do you use for the key?
Let's do softbox. I like that softbox.
Softbox. All right, we'll take
This is the really basic, simple setup. Jonathan's going to set up a softbox. So you need a softbox to light him up, and you need this is your main light, and you're going to need a hair light. And you'll notice the big difference when we light him up. It's going to separate him from the background. So Jonathan's going to set up a softbox. I'll just turn this around. Keep in mind, for the most part, not always, but for the most part, this should only take you about 6 or 7 minutes to set up. No more than that. If you're doing a setup and it's probably a good 30 minutes, it's way too long.
Yeah, way too long.
Yeah, your subject's going to get a little antsy, especially if you got businessmen that got to go to meetings. You got to get in there and you got to get out as quickly as possible.
Because the main thing is what you want to do. Yeah, get in, get out, and don't make your subject nervous. Because as soon as you do, you're going to lose what your main goal is, and that's to get a good story.
And also, if you guys want to carry in your kit, there's a little powder. you know, that the anchors use on set. Grab some of that too. Don't be afraid to, because Mark will be really appreciate it if he is on the 10 o'clock news or whatever show he's on. And he looks all sweaty. He's going to call you and go, dude, what's that? What, you know, you didn't tell me about my sweat marks all over. Dry them off. Get a little napkin, dab them a little bit, and then put a little powder on them. Now, how I was told when I put powder, they dab it, but it's kind of up and down. That's how I've always been taught. It's always brush up and down, and then just get away all those sweat marks. But Mark looks pretty good.
I have a comment, actually.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know Les Moore, or Les Rowe,
Yes.
who's gonna be here? He gave me really good advice one time for as far as makeup is concerned, and it was to use Dr. Brandt's Pores No More. It's an expensive it's an expensive little bottle, but it's perfect for anybody working in city government because you're not putting powder on them. You're actually giving them moisturizer. Because it comes in a little bottle, and it's amazing how much it actually takes off the shine, and they don't have to worry about taking that off anymore after after the shoot because they can leave it on as part of their skin moisturizer.
What's it called, Dr. Brandt?
Dr. Brandt's.
Pores No More, like pore in your skin.
I
What
like
does that cost,
I
more or
like to
less?
call it Oprah makeup.
What does that run?
Well, a little. I think a 2-ounce bottle costs like $30.
Okay.
Yeah, and we use that,
It's not.
and the bottle will last you a while.
Yeah, no, it will.
Yeah.
We had to throw out one because it just keeps going.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, put that in your run kit. That's very important. Your subject will definitely appreciate that. Okay.
What powder is, it makes, if you put powder on and they sweat more, it looks.
Yeah, you got to be real careful. Like Mark was saying, less is more, but you got to keep an eye on it. Depending on if your subject is really, really nervous, yeah. But keep in mind too, there's a couple of things you can do is put like a napkin. So if they're wearing a black shirt like this, if it gets on their shirt, it's going to look horrible. So then you start wiping it off, then it's going to mess up their shirt. So get a napkin underneath, wipe it down so the residue gets on the napkin and not on the subject's shirt. You want to make the subject feel as comfortable as possible. Look at that. So as we're setting up, are there any questions so far as we're setting up? I would definitely bring the camera back a little bit and then kind of give them a little depth, this is, like I said, this is really, really simple setup. You can use 2 lights if you want. You could throw another light in the background to illuminate some of the stuff in the background if you wanted to. But 2 lights pretty much is what you need for a quick interview. Now, if you want to get elaborate, you can bring the umbrella, shine them on top of his face, shine something else in the backdrop, a little splash back there, a nice little hair light in the back, get the 48 hours look, and make sure when you guys shoot interviews, what I try to do is turn off the headlights or the overheads, the fluorescents, because you don't want to mix the two. Most cameras, this is a really good camera, but most cameras are nowadays, they're pretty forgiving. If you put it on auto, it'll white balance usually to the color of the subject, but you don't want to, you want to be in charge of the camera. Don't let the camera be in charge of you. I always put everything on manual. My audio, my balance, everything is on auto, so I'm in charge of the camera. There's no way that camera is going to tell me what to do. I'm always going to be everything in charge. You're responsible.
Let me
Go
also
ahead, Jonathan.
throw in with the auto white balance, you're only going to have a certain range. Kelvin goes from anywhere from 1,800 to 20,000, okay? With automatic white balance, you're only going to have 2,800 to 7,000. So you're missing a whole spectrum of color if you put the camera on automatic.
Yep.
So again, just like Isaac said, manual settings. Manual settings are your friend. Always, always, always manual. Audio, manual. White balance, manual. Everything manual.
And you can also purchase, if you wanted to go a little step further, is white balance cards. Those are really good. You can get some really good temperatures off of white balance cards.
They're called warm cards.
Warm cards. There's different colors, so when you get them, I think they're $100 some bucks, for a set of different colors and temperatures. Just play around with it, see what it does. Don't ever practice on your subject going out in the field. You go in the studio, start balancing out and see what works for you. Because if you get some really warm colors and you take it back to your director, and your director looks at it and goes, "What is this?" He or she's not going to like it. So you have to make sure that everything is on target when you go out in the field and bring back a good story at the end of the day.
Yeah, definitely. So right now, just 2 lights. You can see how much.
Yeah, look at that. Look how beautiful that looks.
Well, I don't know about the subject.
So I like that a lot. I mean, it's a good light. I mean, you got some You don't see too much of the background. You got some pictures, obviously, but you can't see the pictures on it. You know, the microphone stand, obviously, will move around. But you can play with that. You can play with that a lot. You can pull out, you can zoom in. If he's crying, you want to see those eyes, you can zoom in. So that's the most important thing. And my thing also is, I mean, you can have great lighting, but if you don't have a story to tell, you got to have that storytelling skills, you know, and build that as you go along, you know, with your good lighting, your good audio, you get pictures. It's a really, really good story. And with a good subject, man, you know, you can really tell some really, really good stories, you know. I like long format stories. You know, in news, it's, you know, we work on sweeps pieces, and I love that stuff because you can take your time. In news, it's in there and out. You only have about a minute, minute and a half to do your story, and you got to pop that thing out. So sometimes the lighting isn't that great, and you see it on the news. It's because of that. So they're on a time clock. They're moving quick. But in the production world, you can take your time and you really, really work it as much as possible.
Yeah, I mean, definitely utilize as much time as you possibly can. I know some shops are smaller. You might be only a one-man shop, but it's still not the pace of news. Anybody who's worked in news, and there's a lot of people in here that's worked in news, and ask them, they'll tell you how crazy that pace can be. The other thing too is, I know everybody's probably looking at these lights and going, man, those have got to be expensive.
Yeah.
These lights are fairly inexpensive. For the Pro Light, the first one, you can get this under $100. And then you can get 2 or 3 of these and have a really good light kit for under $100. Some other tricks, what I like to do is, my wife likes to go to Hobby Lobby. Not so much. So what I usually do is I go to the stencil aisle, and I'll sit there with the stencils and do this craziness to try to figure it out. What I'm doing is, with a stencil, you can break the light up in the background. This is $2, if that. Perfect. And I've probably got 15 or 16 of them in there.
Yep.
So, and I'll show you how that works real quick. But that's just another cheap way to utilize as much money and funds as you can to get a good picture. You've got some other gear too that
Yeah.
I wanted you to show.
My stuff is really, really simple. And the reason why I brought it, I mean, I have a bigger light kit, you know, at the office, and which I run with every time, you know, I have a higher end production. But the reason why I brought this kit, I'm not going to set it up. I'm just going to pull it and show it to you. This is all, with this kit, I've had this for probably like 16 years, the same kit, not the same bulbs. I probably burned a few bulbs. But the same kit, so it's beat up, but it's taking care of me. It won me 6, maybe 7 Emmys, this kit, just by lighting only. I love this kit. Saved me. It takes me everywhere. But very, very simple kit. That's all it is. You run back. This is what I have. I have 2 Mini Pros. Everything's fit in this bag. Look how old this is, but it works beautiful. I got 2 Mini Pros, okay? I have a Toda. I have 2 of these, okay? Very simple, with umbrellas. I never, ever, ever use this without an umbrella. If the only time I use this without an umbrella, if it's bouncing up against the wall. And that's, the ceiling or a wall. This is very, very important because if you shine this at anybody, good luck. They're gonna be blind. If you have to use this without an umbrella, bounce it against the wall for a quick setup, this is all you need, literally. You get a subject, sit them down. If they have 2 or 3 minutes, you need a light, bounce this on the wall. It lights everything. Everything is even. Point and shoot, and you're good to go. This is in a really, really tight pinch. But if you have about 10 minutes, got your umbrella. I got 2 of these, okay? And I got all my light stands. And then for my Mini Pro, I have my diffusion. I never, ever use lights without diffusion. Okay, you put it on. Hey, where are you going? I put it on and I use my diffusion. Now, these, see how old these are? They take care of me. This here, these are my C3Ps, okay? Very, very important, the C3Ps. Come on, guys.
347?
Yes, those 2. So basically, all I got to do in 2 seconds, just throw one of these on, and then these have frames on them. You can put frames and all that, but it takes too long. That's all you need. I mean, you know. So you find it, and it's a diffusion, so it's not. And then you can use a spotter back and forth. And if it's too close, you don't spot it. What I do is open it up all the way, You flood it all the way, open it up wide, and then bring it back or bring it forward. I never leave it there and spot it, ever, ever. It's always backwards where it's flooded, and I bring it back or I bring it forward, depending on my lighting situation.
I will
So-
say too, with the clips, every office, every city office probably has these. Everybody knows what these are. Big metal paper clips. They always have boxes of them. I have a full case of them, and that's what I use for my gels. Super cheap, and if it breaks, I just go to, whatever office and take one off a desk, and then there we go, we're good to go. The other thing too is how he was saying to focus the light. The other thing is you want to start, when you're lighting inside, you want to start from the background and work your way forward, okay? Now the reason you want to do this is because you'll get more of an even lighting, okay? If you start from the back and work to the front, which we can show you how that works as well.
And if worst comes to worst, buy you one of these bad boys, you're
Yeah.
good to go. This goes on top of your camera. You can knock a few interviews off with this. And you can do tungsten, you can take it off, there's a filter on there, But these are probably like $50, maybe not
Yeah.
even that much.
Now, the
Really
only
simple
thing
stuff.
with LED that you're going to have a problem with is that it's hard to dim LED and to get a good color temperature reading
Yeah.
depending on what light you buy.
Yep.
Because the cheaper the light you buy, the more green and blue it's going to be. So just know that. Cheap is not always best.
That's true.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Especially with these lights, do you ever run into problems when you're breaking a circuit?
Yes, in Mexico.
Yeah, I know. I mean,
Um,
typically, I haven't had a problem with that. And usually what I do is I make sure there's at least 2 plugs
Yeah,
on the opposite side of the room that I can utilize. So anytime I go into a room, like Isaac said, you figure out where you're going to place the subject. The second thing you're going to figure out is where are the plugs in the room. And then the third thing you're going to figure out is how far of a cable do I need to run to get to the lights. But usually if you put them in a different plug, you're not going to break a breaker.
That's true, yeah. You always, if you're going to use multiple lights, the bigger ones, depending on your wattage, always try to, because I have, in my kit, I have multiple extension cords. I have 3 or 4 of them. And if you're going to get some, get the thick ones. Don't get this, I know this is for really quick, for a mini pro, this is great. But if I use anything like a bigger softbox with more voltage, this thing's going to get really hot. And eventually it'll start melting, believe it or not. But this is really cool, the quick setup. But for a thicker one, for the bigger lights, get a thicker one, and then put that on a power strip. You can put 2 lights on the power strip, low wattage, and then start working from there. But yeah, try to separate everything if you can. But I did have, in a house, actually it was Carmel Mountain, I had 3 soft boxes and even multiple outlets, and the breaker just kept popping. So we had to switch, we got to rework it. But it does happen, depending on how many lights you have.
Yeah.
But everything, trying to keep it simple. So.
Yeah, and definitely try to keep it, if you walk into a room and there's a lot of natural light, try to utilize the natural light
Yes.
as much as possible.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be a lot easier, it's going to save you a lot of time.
Yeah.
And the way that I do that is I have one of these, which is a reflector on a reflector arm, and that way I can position it to whatever I need, to the subject, and that way it's fast, it's easy, all I got to do is pop it out, put it on, and I'm done. The other thing that you can do too is, and I'll show you this light real quick. This is an HMI, thanks to the the county of San Diego.
Yeah,
for letting us use
county, thank you.
County.
Yes.
I remember her. All right, so let me put this up so I don't blind everybody here in the audience. HMI is a very expensive light. And the reason that is because you can't outlight God, but you can try to get close, all right? You can't outlight the sun. It's just impossible. Good luck. But an HMI will get you pretty close. Now, HMIs are pretty costly. You're looking at anywhere from $2,000 and up, depending on what kit you get. But as you can see right now, it's still going. It's still going to get brighter and brighter and brighter, and it's going to match daylight perfectly.
Yep.
Okay? Now, you might say, Jonathan, I don't have that much money. And I might say, that's bad. That's terrible. I feel so bad for you. But there is a way around it, okay? Obviously, let me see if I can find a blue gel in here. Somewhere in here. Somewhere in here I have a blue gel.
I have one.
Oh, here we go. Right here on the front. Everybody see that? All right, so that's color temperature blue. And I'll use that to match daylight. That's the cheapest way. The second cheapest way is what we call a dichro. Looks like this and goes on lights like this and this. And this will change everything into daylight. Very cheap and easy tool that you can utilize to kind of get close. But again, you cannot outlight the sun. So you try as hard as you can, but if you do, you're going to have, 1,000-watt HMI in somebody's eye, and they're going to be blinded the whole time. So try to avoid that.
Now, for what Jonathan is talking about, I love this slide. This is your best friend at times. But when for outside, you never want to use this outdoors. If you're going to be outdoors and in a park and you throw that on them, your color is going to be way, way off. That's why that's very, very important. And when he's talking about the temperature gel, you want to definitely use that on maybe on one of your mini pros or something. If you have power, you want to, even if a guy is on a conference and there's a window behind him, you definitely want to kind of match the background. And that's where the importance of white balancing comes into play. Make sure you look at your colors. I know most cameras have LCDs where you can see your colors. Back in the day, you just depended on your numbers. When you white balance your numbers, if you didn't have the right numbers and you weren't paying attention, you're going to get some funky colors and take them back and go, why is this blue? Because you didn't pay attention to your white balance.
Yeah.
So now, I mean, like the DSLRs, I'm not sure what you guys are shooting with these days, but most cameras now, they come with the LCD so you can see your balance and kind of get but still pay attention to those numbers. Very, very, very important.
If I could interrupt for a second, what are most people shooting with right now?
Yeah, what are you guys
I
shooting
mean,
Yeah, show of
is
hands.
most people DSLRs?
Let's
or?
see, E&G cameras, full size, awesome. Regular prosumer cameras, okay. DSLR, okay. Anything else?
iPhone?
iPhone?
Just kidding.
Russo is now banned from this room.
Oh.
I'll just- okay, well that's good. That's good that some people have some nice full size. I like the full size because it has all the controls on the outside of the camera. I don't have to go search through menus to go, oh, I need a white balance. Let me go through the menu, go through the menu, go through the menu. It's all on the outside of the camera. And that helps tremendously when you're trying to get things done quick.
Yeah, I used to run with the E&G camera. I mean, I still do, and I love the E&G, the shoulder mounts. It took care of me forever. When I switched over to a higher end, I have a AF, I have a 6D, 5D, and working on a Canon C300, C500. So, everything changes, but you have to be on technology. You have to know what the camera does and what it cannot do. You have to push it to its limits. I ran with this for a very, very long time, and I was very nervous about switching over to a different camera. But once I got familiar with that camera, I love it. I haven't shot with a shoulder mount for about 5 years now. But it's just like riding the bike. You're good to go. Buttons do everything. But the concept is still the same. You still got to do your audio. Still got to do your white balance. You got to frame your subject. Everything's the same. It's just the buttons do a little bit different. So know your gear. Know your lighting. It's huge, huge.
Are there any questions so far? Yeah, go ahead.
In addition to your 2-point, 3-point setup, cookies and things like that, do you guys ever do kicker lights as well with your subjects?
Any what? I'm sorry. Tickers?
Kicker?
It just depends. And again, I try not to. And if I do, what I usually do is I'll do a negative fill or a fill. And I'll use the reflector to do that.
Do you want to explain what the kicker is?
Do you want to explain what a kicker is?
Yeah, kicker's basically a low light that comes in from the side, kind of highlighting the side of the face.
Mm-hmm.
On the back, very low green light.
Does everybody understand that? So basically, a kicker light is just to get a little bit more definition onto the side of the face. I typically will not use a light just because it's too powerful and sometimes it will create more shadows than you really need. I love using the reflector. The reflector is my go-to. I use it all the time. You can ask anybody. I always have it on me. I'm always ready to go. And we'll show you how to use the reflector to get the same kind of effect for the kicker. But more of the time, I'm using this, and I'm using just a basic light setup because you can bring as many lights as you want. You know, I used to work network, so we used to bring cases of lights, 10, 15 lights, and set them up in the room, and that takes forever. And of course, it's going to look amazing, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but it will take you forever. So try to minimize as much as possible if you can. Obviously, if you have two-person shoots where you have two people that you're interviewing, or you have a reporter and whoever you're interviewing, you're going to need more lights to kind of balance both out. But I try to keep it as minimal as possible.
And it depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to create that look, go for it, man.
Yeah,
If you have the
definitely.
time, absolutely do it. Try it out, and get one of your buddies and try it out before you actually interview your subject. You don't want to waste their time too much. And just play around with it, balance out, check it out, and move around some lights, play with that for an hour, and then when you're actually getting ready to do it, you know exactly how to do it and where to place your subject and your lights. So at the end of the day, you don't want to waste your subject's time too much by doing a test shot on him, So test that out before you actually go out in the field.
Do we want to move to lighting setups?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
So let me get a few people. Who doesn't think they're very good at lighting? Boom. Come up here. Who also doesn't think they're very good at lighting? So everybody is amazing at lighting in this room. So why did you come to the seminar today? Who wants to better their lighting? Nobody. All right, I'm going to start picking random people.
No, she does. She
Oh,
raised
yeah,
her
there
hand.
we go.
Yeah. She wants a better lighting.
Who else? I need some people to help me set up lights. Yeah, we'll get that guy. No, you're.
And while Jonathan's doing that, how many actually
I'm gonna
go
get you to
out
go.
by themselves without a reporter, without a producer?
I'm going to get you to go up.
There's quite a bit of you. Okay, so when you're by yourself, you're limited. So a lot of times you're not going to lug a big light kit and lug a tripod and your camera. It's a lot of work going up the steps, going up the elevators, and going up to the 30th floor. So that's so when you're actually in your truck, you're thinking, oh my God, I have to lug all this stuff. But it's a lot of work. But it's so well worth it at the end of the day. So kind of have that mindset. So at the beginning of your day, you get up and just have that attitude, like, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and this is how I'm going to do it today. That's going to get you a long way. So if you have the attitude, you don't want to light, you don't want to do no audio, you just use your microphone for the camera, which is you don't want to ever do that. That's how your story's going to end up at the end of the day. You don't want that. Push that extra effort going out there and getting that interview and lighting your subject well.
Okay, so I've got my crew up here. Let's everybody say your name, where you're from.
Mariana from Houston. Thaddeus from Portland.
Carmen from Minnesota.
Kevin from Cincinnati.
Nice.
There you go. Vast variety here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to set up a simple interview lighting. So who's my camera? Boom, you're on the camera. Who's my lighters? My grips,
Nice.
all right? And you're my talent. So what we're going to do is we're going to move you a little over this way. And then what I want you guys to do is light. So just pick whatever lights you want. They're all here.
I'm going with LED.
Well, if you want to go that route, go that route.
It's up to you.
It's up to you.
Yeah. Knock yourself
It's all
out.
up to you.
Hey, Kevin, why don't you,
Here, let me move this chair out.
oh, you're good.
All right, so we're going to let them set up. Anybody else have any questions or anything they want to ask about any of the gear up here?
Here, let me move this out the way for you.
Yeah, of course.
Say you're by yourself and you got your light kit. How fast can you set that up? What's your time?
My time? Pretty quick.
Like,
Under 2 minutes.
what?
Yeah, if need be.
Okay.
Well, I
Just
work
trying to think,
I work
like,
news.
How fast should I be?
If you go over 10 minutes, then you're doing it wrong. No, I mean, it shouldn't take you more than 10 minutes. Yeah, and it's just practice. Yeah, it's just like riding a bike, driving a stick. The more you do it, the better you'll become at it. So, but usually it will take me about 10 minutes, and that's a full with full soft boxes.
Yeah, a 3-point lighting, basic light should take you 7 to 10 at the most. Anything more than that, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with it as long as your subject is not waiting there for you for half an hour. It's
Yeah.
okay. Don't time yourself and go, okay, I got 2 more minutes left. Don't worry about that. Worry about your lighting. That's the most important thing.
Well, worry
But-
about your story.
You worry about your story
Worry about your
first and
story
try and
first, and
Figure
then
out
your
why you're
lighting,
there. But yeah, I mean, just that's the main thing,
I'm just trying to see where I should go.
Yeah.
How fast.
Right. And yeah, I mean, the more you do it, the better you become at it. So
That's true.
Yeah, no question is a dumb question. So if you have a question, please ask. Okay, so the brands and the wattages. These are called REFAs. This one is about 500. This one is a 200. The HMI is a 200 watt HMI. I'm not sure about what's the light panel? Where's Andy?
Yes.
All right, so under 100, 70. This is about 125. Now the other thing too though is these will take different bulbs. So if you want to add more power or less power, you can do that. You can buy a bulb that's 125 watts, 250 watts, 500 watts, and 1,000 watts. Just make sure when you buy the light that those lights are interchangeable. The light bulbs themselves. Any other questions? Yeah, go ahead. Okay, so this is tungsten. This is all tungsten. I personally love tungsten. I'm not so big on the LED because I can't control it as much as I'd like to. Because for me, it just sprays a lot of light everywhere. And I can't really knock it down unless I use black wrap, foil wrap. I don't know if you guys know what that is.
Yes.
It's basically black aluminum foil, cinefoil. But for the most part, I use tungsten or HMI
I'll just hand that to you.
or my reflector. So LEDs are nice, like especially this light panel. It's a very nice light, and you can use it for a variety of things.
You can just open it up more. Because you're not going to get a lot of light.
The
out of
Kina,
it. Hold it
I've
for
used
me.
Kina Flows. I like them.
Now you can-
They're nice.
there you
They're
go.
very, very soft, but they're very, very breakable. They're very fragile. That's the only thing I don't like about them, because if I put it in the car and try to transport it and I don't have it in a case, then those bulbs will probably break as soon as I hit a bump in the
You
road.
just have to either
But they're
back it
nice
up.
lights. They
It
really
looks
are.
like
But
it's,
that's more high-end movie
here's another key.
network lighting,
Anytime
you know.
you do
And if
this
you want to
with a
spend that
subject
money
like
for a
that-
Kina Flow, by all means, go ahead. It's a great light. But yeah, it's costly,
Then
very costly.
Go ahead, turn it on.
Any other
And
questions?
then this is probably
Yeah.
spotted.
Speaking of the opposite of costly,
So we can probably,
show us how you would like using the inexpensive
which is,
option.
that's all you're going to get.
Of just the pro lights?
So,
Yeah, we can do that.
if that's your
We'll
case,
do that after this setup, just
so
for you.
Now
Awesome.
that you know that,
Any,
you're gonna have to
anything
back
else?
it up really far.
Yeah.
Or go with one of these. That's your friend right there. I would switch it out.
As part of what I do, I cover city council meetings.
Uh-huh.
And because of that, I have a group of people who do not want TV lights in their meeting room. It's just, for them, it's just personally, it's too bright, plus the expense. What would you do in that sort of situation?
Well, first I would explain what photography is, which is photo is light. So, yeah, that's a hard situation because I
There's some
feel
different wattage.
I feel where you're coming from because
Yeah, and
we
then
have that
again,
problem
go ahead,
too.
when you
Sometimes
get a
we'll try to
chance,
light the
turn it
mayor,
on.
our
There you
former
go.
mayor, and he really did not like the
And then you're gonna
lights,
need
and
a,
I just had to keep telling
here, I
him.
got one.
You're going to look much better if we light you up, you know, and especially try to show them examples of other cities, you know. I mean, there's great cities in here that do a lot of great lighting.
We had a similar situation probably like 3 years ago, and they didn't like the fact that I was bringing in lights to the meeting room, which they had for like 10 years. They had no lights in there, so the meeting was all suddenly lit up. The thing that I told them is that the HD cameras that we're going to be bringing in, which have always been there, don't light the light. What happens is
No, man, you're good. You're good. Go ahead, throw that in
Yeah,
there.
you're good, man. Don't worry.
Yeah, you're good. Seriously.
kind of explain it that way, you know, to
And then just pop that diffusion off. There we go. Yeah, just pop that off.
and that worked actually. And you know, and actually being able to
That's just a really high wattage.
the setup to show what it should look like.
And it's kind of the same thing. And you can actually close the barn doors too. So go ahead and throw that on there.
Move it up a little bit.
Yeah, that's a great tip. It really is. Yeah.
Fire this bad boy up.
You know, you just have to work with. You have to get their buy-in, you know, to be able to make that work. And we had that struggle.
Are we plugged up? Let's see here.
Any other questions?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
What's your thought on using a vapor light? If I had 5 minutes to do an interview here and I didn't want to lug a whole load of lights
this is his light, right? Yeah, I don't know, maybe the bulb's done. Here, let's do this. Take it out.
You're talking about the house lights?
Take all this
Now
out.
again, you're mixing tungsten and fluorescent.
All that out. Just take the scrim off.
Yeah, and again, I would say natural light and reflector. If you don't want to lug a kit in, bring a reflector, get them close to where all the natural light's coming in, and utilize the natural light as much as possible.
All right.
Because,
Set you up.
right,
Scrim. Go ahead, put the
because,
scrim on. Same thing. Put this on. There you go. Now then.
yeah,
See,
right.
See the spot?
But you also got to worry about
So you get
flat
less.
lighting, and
You
that's
don't
what
have
you're
to point it
doing
directly.
by
Yeah,
using this
just kinda
light.
one of these.
You're making your subject
Yeah.
look flat,
Play with
which
it.
is no depth.
Until you got enough. That's all.
But again, you're still mixing temperatures. You're mixing, what is that, 2,900,
You can move
maybe
this wherever you
1,800,
want.
and then
there you
3,200.
go. It's already
So automatically, you're
opened up.
already on the wrong foot. So if you white balance, it's not going to know, should I white balance for that? Should I white balance for that? And it would give you a mix, but it's still, yeah. Why wouldn't you want to lug a light kit?
Because I've got to do the interview, I've got to do everything.
That's part of storytelling, though. You know,
It's not part of your storytelling. It's part of your job.
part of your job. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to, man. You have to. If you don't want to do that, you got to go somewhere else.
Yeah, you're in the wrong business if
Seriously.
you don't want to do that.
I'm just being straight up
Yeah.
with you because that's huge. Your lighting, your audio, lugging that stuff is huge.
That's the difference between nobody watching and everybody watching.
And it's your story. That's your face. It's your, when you shoot that and edit it, that's yours. You did that. You know, you don't want to put a product on air that's going to look horrible, or your news director, your directors come to you and go, what is this? You want to be proud of what you do at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You own that story.
I'm not saying it's always going to look horrible, I'm not saying this is ideal, but like you say,
Yeah, I know.
if you didn't have time, you could lift this up and use natural lighting.
Yeah, exactly.
Here, use that.
Absolutely.
Fill up, switch all these off and use
But yeah, again, it just depends on the key light. And in that situation, again, I would say reflector, natural light.
And
Because
if
you don't want to mix. You just want to try to keep the color temperature as much as possible on the same wavelength. Now, sometimes, I know photographers will use like a cool light. And by cool, I mean like HMI, a bluer light, to kind of, separate the background and the person. You can do that, but again, I would say fastest way, if you don't want to lug a light kit, which I wish you would, but, I would say reflector on a stand. Yeah. And again, like I said, we
At
both
least-
worked in news,
yeah,
and
yeah.
if you practice your craft, you'll get faster at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And pretty soon, you'll be setting up a light kit in 5 minutes, 2 minutes.
If
you
there's
know?
if there's one thing I can add to that too is if you have the ability to do that on your own as a one-man band kind of thing, go do it quickly, that makes you even more valuable to your employer.
That's true.
Yeah.
Or a potential employer.
That's
You
right.
can go in and say, hey, I can do this, this, and this, boom. You don't need to hire that second person, to do the lights or to do the audio or whatever. Makes you even more valuable.
More money in your pocket.
And usually, and you can ask my colleagues, I will carry this light kit, and it's in that Pelican case right over there. I will wheel it in, I will set it up, and I'll get it done in under 10 minutes.
I had female photojournalists that carried just as much as Jonathan did, and they were by themselves, but they rent these or get these carts that they put everything in, throw their camera on the shoulder, and then lug this stuff around.
And I got a
because
cart
they
right
want
over
a good
there.
story. If you have an interview set up at 10 a.m., get there at 9:15 if it takes you a little bit longer. Get there a little bit early. Call them up. Hey, is it okay if I set up a little bit? I know the interview's at 10. I do it all the time, and they're really good at it. But if they have a really tight schedule, you can't get in there, then you know your parameters, know your limitations. Every single day is different.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
We have like a room off to the side of the mayor's office, and he likes to be shot in this like corner, basically.
Oh,
Like
okay.
a chair and a thing.
So what she's
But
saying
it
is there's a mayor, and the mayor likes to be shot in a room in a corner.
It has no natural light. There's no windows in this room.
No natural
There's
light.
a white wall behind him, and there's like a side table on the chair.
There's the
It has
first
no-
problem, the white wall. Yeah.
It's a nightmare to film in there.
Why does he like that room?
I have no idea.
I do have some tips that I can help, and we'll show that too, like when we do some pro
I mean,
lighting.
because the chair's like bumped up in the corner area, and I mean, there's just nothing.
Yeah,
I
that's terrible. You
can't
just tell them
like it.
no.
I've tried, but.
But I'll show you how you can make a small space. Right? Yeah. No, I understand. I understand.
I mean, also too, I mean, I bet you $1 million if you walk in there and go, hey, Mayor, can we do something a little bit different? If you have the time, can we do that? I'm just going to try something. Give me about 5 or 10 minutes. I'm going to try something. It's going to make you look really good.
Yeah.
I bet you.
I've tried that though.
Oh, you have?
I took him
Okay.
into the law library. I set it up.
Oh,
really
nice. There you
and
go.
I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
It was great. He's like, no, I wanted it.
Okay. All right.
Okay,
Well, yeah, that's, you know.
What's the year from?
City of Conroe.
Conroe.
And I'm a solo.
And you're solo. Okay.
He needs to lose the next election.
That sounds like a nightmare.
And they're all very picky. Like
Sure.
some like lighting, one's losing his hair, so you can only hit him at a certain angle so that his
I always tell them
hair
I put
and
the hair.
Wow.
I say I have a hair filter.
Yeah.
Yeah, they always tell me, you know, can you go in after and like add more
Then you say no.
hair? And so I'm
That's
like,
hilarious.
no.
Wow.
Yeah, but again, like I've had people like that where they're like, I want to do it in this room, and I'll just say that room's not available today. I don't know.
It's all his office, you know, it's like
Well,
impossible.
what you should do is you should stuff it with things,
Right.
with gear, and just be like, I don't know. We
You
just,
can't fit him.
yeah.
Or you could dress
That's
up the
that's a
background,
hard
too.
that's a
If
hard
there's
case.
plants
Yeah.
and, you know.
I've been able to get him from, like, he was like directly in the corner, so the like corner of the room went up his
Okay,
head.
yeah.
So I was able to get him like off a little bit and put the side table in the corner so it's not quite like
I got you.
directly in the corner, but
How often do you interview the mayor?
pretty regular.
Really?
Mm.
We're about to do our like holiday message
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
big
thing,
buckets.
so we're it's
Get him
gonna be
out.
fun.
Yeah, got to get him out. Try to get him out of that place as
Yeah.
far as
I wish.
outdoors.
Do you want me to call him for you?
Yeah, exactly.
I'll call him.
If you could give me some tips though to
Yeah, yeah.
how to handle that,
Yeah.
that'd be great. 'Cause I mean, I can't.
Yeah, don't do it. Yeah.
He's gonna get rude. He's gonna get rude.
But yeah, we'll definitely show you after this. All right, so
We got
we're
about
just-
20 minutes, so just FYI, guys.
Yeah. Do you want to go over? what
Yeah,
we
yeah.
got
Let's
so
let's
far?
look what we got here. So, all right. Look at that. Woo. That doesn't bother me a lot. Actually, I like that. But look at the background. Where's the background? What's the background got going for me?
Yeah.
There's really nothing back
There's
except
nothing.
Michael. So let's dress it up a little bit. We can either do this. You can, if you have time, you can dress it up the background, or just throw something like a nice light back there. Let's find another light if you guys have another light. Let's just try something and see if we can do something with the background. You know, and when, like I said, when you first walk into a room, I look for plants. Don't be afraid to move furniture around. Don't be tied to whatever's in front of you. Move furniture around, move the desk around, but make sure you put it back when you're done with it. If you have time, get plants. I mean, is there a plant around here? We'll just throw a plant back here. Okay, there's nothing, so let's figure it out. We're starting to set up a pattern back there. I think that's going to look really, really nice, actually.
Because right now it's just gonna.
So yeah, look at everything. Look at your background, key light. Kind of like that, actually.
So what Isaac's doing is he's focusing the light. He's trying to find the best source of the light coming out, the best beam.
And then I like that. I love that hair light because it kind of sets her apart from the background.
Yeah.
You know, it looks really good. And then, you know, open up a little bit more. Look at the framing. Let's see what it does when you open up the framing. So you got the picture back there. You can get the tripod. You can lower it down. You can pick it up. You know, depending on what you want to do. Now, if your background is just not working, zoom in a little bit. Go ahead, zoom in. This is how tight you should ever get on the interview. Go to the nose, all the way in, focus up,
And
pull out just a tad, just a little bit. Okay, and you can right about there. That's probably as close as you ever want to get. Back up just a tad. Right there. That's a good framing right there. No, you look great. Now, if you have a subject who's very emotional and they're crying, you know, if you're by yourself, it's kind of hard because what you're trying to do is you're interviewing somebody and it's a really sad story. And then what I like to do is that they're showing a lot of emotion. You want to see those eyes, you know. So I kind of zoom in a little bit if I can, but it's very difficult if they're looking at you if you're by yourself and you're trying to zoom in at the same time. That's kind of hard to do. So a lot of times what I do is I'll just do it in post. I just go to post and kind of push in a little bit. That works, you know, if you're by yourself. And if you're a reporter, producer, man, you can do that all day long. Just kind of play with that, you know, for those emotional interviews. But something like this, she's talking about the conference today. It's perfect because you can see her eyes. You have her hair light. We're going to do a little background for you. Yeah, it's perfect. And then also, one last thing for me is that, for me, I mean, I always have the subject talk off camera. I never have them talk directly into the camera. So if my camera's here, I'm standing right where she's at, right there, and I'm looking through my viewfinder and making sure my framing is okay, because I can tell if I'm holding the camera and she moves to the left or right, you know, she just kind of stays there. I have to peek over and kind of move and follow her, you know. But what I try to do is tell my subject, whatever you do, try not to move as much as possible. Just stay right there. I got you framed up really nice. This is only if you're by yourself. And every once in a while, I'll peek over and make sure that you know, she's eye level with me. But usually, I'm sitting down on the chair because you want to be eye level with the lens. You
And yeah,
wanna,
that's a great point because a lot of the times when I'm shooting, I will get right to the lens.
absolutely.
So look at me. Because that way she's looking straight at me. If I'm looking up here, go ahead and look at me. Then she's looking up.
Yep.
Then she just looks crazy.
Yep. Don't wanna do
Right?
that. Well,
Anyway, you know. But you know, you kind of get my point. You know, you don't want your officials to look crazy, especially, you know, like when they're talking and looking up, like, we think this bond is amazing. It's going to be really good for our city. You know, so obviously get with wherever the lens is, get level with the lens and get as close to the lens as possible if you can, because that's just going to look
natural.
natural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very natural. And then your subject will appreciate it. And, you know, the most things, just have fun. Go out there and do it. Just do it. Don't be afraid of setting up lights or setting up your camera, doing something different. You know, this business is, sometimes it can be a hit and miss, but that's how you learn. That's how you get out there and you just actually do it. And watch movies, watch other people's work, watch, you know, other stuff, and, you know, Google it and watch really creative stories, and that'll give you an idea. How do they do that? And then you start networking, and then you start learn. That's how I learn. I just love watching movies. I love watching other people's work. I just love it. And then I'll practice that on my subjects. Every once in a while I'll do that, you know. But for you know, the business that we're in, it's very, really quick. Sometimes you don't have a lot of time to do that, but sometimes you do.
Yeah.
And my advice is just do it and have fun with it.
Real quick, where's my pro light? Right there. Come up here. Come all the way up. So we're going to do a quick 2 pro light setup.
Absolutely.
So go ahead, turn off all the soft boxes. You can knock those down. I'm going to need this pro light and this pro light. All right. So where are you from? What's your name?
I'm Tracy. I'm from the Colorado Municipal League.
Where's that?
It's in Denver.
Denver. Okay. Excellent. So you were saying you have pro lights. These?
No, I'm saying I actually have no lighting, and so I'm looking at the most inexpensive option to go.
I
be a
see.
different
Yeah,
cable.
and that's right. I mean, I understand.
I
Yeah,
don't
you have only so much
Maybe you just
budget.
have to
I would definitely say these pro lights would be
leave it on.
the go-to. They're efficient, they're powerful, and they're small. Okay. So we've got everything off. We've just got one light.
This is still on. I don't. There's a.
Oh yeah. So
You just have to pull the plug, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we're
okay.
good.
Okay. So we're gonna get you to set up lights.
Okay.
Okay. Carmen, you're still gonna be, and you guys, you're still gonna be my grips. Cool. All right. So we've got one pro light. Okay. I want you to set it up for our interview subject.
Okay.
So where would you place
So-
this light?
So if you only have the one light,
If you only have the one light, where would you place it?
probably behind the camera, maybe, or.
No pressure.
No pressure.
Yeah, I don't have lights, remember?
Okay. What's the first mistake she's made, Isaac?
Well, the first mistake, for me, and I'm just looking at you, this is what I do. I mean, this is probably something that everybody should know. This is what I usually do. I turn it off before I move.
Exactly. Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
Because if this thing slides down and your bulb is going to bust. I'll give you an example, but these things are probably like 30
No,
bucks.
that's all right. Yeah.
But yeah, if this is loose, it's going to go boom, and it'll go off automatically.
And then your one light is now no light.
Yeah, so if you don't have any, and that's another thing, guys, make sure in your run bag you have spare bulbs.
Yes.
You gotta have spare bulbs.
Got to have spare bulbs.
If you don't, you have spare bulbs and your light goes and you're done. You know, you gotta either take them outside or do something else, or iris up like really, really high. But yeah, turn it off and then move your light. That's what I do.
Okay, so you got one light.
Okay.
All right. No, go ahead. You're gonna. So it'll push down. Mm-hmm. And then.
Yeah, be careful, it'll get hot.
Yeah, it'll get really hot.
I noticed that.
Okay. So now you're gonna turn it on. All right. Yeah.
Yeah, just play around with it. Yeah, what do you think? Let me know when. Let us know when you think it's a good spot for it.
Okay, that's good. So one light setup. It can be done.
Yes.
Does it look the best? No, but can you get away with it? Yes. The other thing too, if you have one light, I would still say use a reflector because you can just bounce light, and I'll show you.
Yep.
So grab this reflector for me.
And while Jonathan's doing that, I really want to quick. I know there's going to be
We got a couple
another
of phones.
session on microphones and audio and stuff.
Perfect.
But
Yeah.
microphones. Always remember this: microphones are to be heard, not seen. So if you have a lav, you're putting on your subject, and then the lav cord is running all the way down, it looks terrible. Hide that thing. Put it underneath the collar. Sometimes you can put it underneath the collar, kind of run it down. Hide that thing as much as possible. Clip that thing on and hide it. Lavs work well for you. Hardline, you know, I try not to use a RE50, a handheld mic, during one of these interviews. If you don't have a wireless, go get one. Tell your news director, get me one. This is part of my tools. I need it. Wireless will save you every single time. Try not to do interviews like this, unless you're on camera or a live shot, you know. But yeah, hide that cord as much as possible. Be elegant about it. Tuck it in, hide it, tuck it, done.
Yeah, will you move that light back up for me? Oh wait, hold on. It's still attached.
Any questions so far?
The cable's still attached.
Go ahead,
on the
sorry.
back.
How do you use your
Yeah.
colored gels? Not your blues and oranges,
Hold on.
but like your
Here, let me just.
creative colors.
Yeah, that's a good question. Depending on the
There you go.
story,
Nice.
what I'm trying to do, if I'm doing a story on crime or something, I'll throw maybe a blue or like a red or something on the wall.
Sir?
I don't usually use them as much as I used to. Yeah, yeah. And try not to, I stay away from reds, colored reds, because what happens, you put a red gel back here. If she had a red gel over, you know, this shoulder, and you turn that thing on, and you do an interview with her, the first thing the viewer's eyes are going to go to is that red gel. They're going to go straight for that, and they're going to miss the first 2 sentences of what she says, guaranteed. Keep everything simple. Keep it simple. Light it up elegantly, but keep it simple. You don't want to do too elaborate where all these craziness lights are going on, depending, again, on your subject, what you're trying to do, accomplish. But keep everything simple, you know, and your subject will appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yes, good question.
That's a good
Go ahead,
question.
Jonathan. No, it's a great question.
With green screen, you definitely want to keep it as soft as possible. I think the best person that can green screen in here is Mark. Can you talk about green screen? Because you guys have a really good green screen. And efficient.
Yeah, well, I mean, we don't use anything special. Essentially, really what it is that you need to make sure you light it first, like the background. It needs to be even, so you can do that in the camera with the zebra stripes. You know, make sure that everything is even around, you know, as far as the light is concerned. Make sure you have 2 up, obviously, 2 below, and that your subject is 6 feet away from the background or more. That's the biggest problem because we have light still. So what we found recently, and I think this is something we picked up about a year or so ago, is just make sure you get just a piece of foam core and reflect it behind or to the side of the subject, and that's going to get rid of a lot of that spill, that green spill that you see. So your background needs to be brighter than the foreground for the most part. And once it gets bright and flat, then you shouldn't have a problem getting that good peak.
Yeah.
We were doing it back, you know, with mini DV and all that, and that was horrendous. You know, obviously a better camera. I mean, we're using a Panasonic 200 now still, and it still does pretty good.
But yeah, that's the best advice that anybody can give. And obviously, like when we do green screen, we do very minimal green screen, but when we do, I pull the subject as far away from the wall as possible and then get some depth with the lens. So that way I can knock the background out of focus and put more of the focus on her. And that way it makes the green easier to key out.
And watch your shadows too.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, soft boxes are really good for green screen lighting. You know, not too harsh lights, but soft boxes, and just watch your shadow. If you have any shadow, it's going to show up. It's very hard to key that out. So just
Yeah,
kinda watch
very,
your
very
background
hard to
shadow.
key that out. Yeah. Recommend light meters? Yeah, I mean, light meters are good, but they're kind of hard to figure out if you're not a professional and haven't used it for years and years and years, because what the light meter might say here, and you just barely move a little bit, it's going to change. So it's very hard to figure out where the numbers are at.
I used to use a light meter to light green screen, and I found that very nice.
You can do that. You need it to be even.
Yeah.
That's the main
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
You know, especially if you're shooting full. You know, if you're just shooting waist up, then it's, you know, you just light that area. No
I
big
always
deal.
took a lot of time to make sure.
Mm-hmm. That's
But,
good.
You know, it's also good to have a dedicated space. If you don't have that space, you know, it's going to be hard for your time. But once you get that set up and you have dedicated lights there, then like studio, which, you know, we do, but before we never had really a studio light up. And so we have stop boxes that we use for and reflectors.
It's a good point. I mean, yeah, you definitely could
Absolutely.
use. Yes?
I found one of the most useful things for lighting for green screen is a waveform monitor.
Mhm.
You can see that line straight across.
Yep.
And that waveform monitor,
Yep.
you've got an even green.
Yeah. No, and again, that's a great tool. Waveform is a great tool to have. And most editors, nonlinear editors, have a waveform built in them now. But again, that might be hard for some people who are not used to. But yeah, it's a good idea.
I mean,
Definitely.
if you're doing any green screen shooting, that's pretty serious stuff. You know, you really got to know what you're doing, because if you don't, it's going to be very difficult in post to try to key
Real
that
quick,
stuff out.
Another thing with that I've learned that what we'll do is if we have the means, we'll take a screenshot or, you know, at least something, bring it into the editing system, make sure we can key it out before we go any further. That's if we have the time to do that. And if we do, then we move on. So.
Yeah. Green screen is the most difficult thing. And it's very easy to look like an amateur using green screen. So definitely light.
And if you get a subject in front of a green screen, try to avoid a shirt like him.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyways.
All right, we got 10 minutes.
Okay.
Any other questions? Do you want another demonstration, or what do you guys want to see?
I like that. That looks really
I
good.
had a question.
Very nice.
Foreground light versus background. You know, if you're lighting your background, you've got something, are you aiming for a certain number of stops lower in light, or you
Oh, for the background? So
Yeah.
here's how I do it. When I walk into a room, obviously, like this room, I would have turned off all the lights, and I would already have had my lights set up, and I will work from the back. So what I do is I open the camera, the iris, fully open, and then focus the lights around that. Because it tends to work out better that way if you just start with the lens fully open and then move your lights back, rather than going, oh, I need to get some f-stops back here or more f-stops up in front. It's just way easier to start from the back and work your way to the front. So I would have my iris fully open. I'll start with the background. So I would light probably this area with one of these Omnis. So I'd start with that, get whatever shape I want, you know. Am I going to use one of those patterns that I have? Am I just going to make a stripe? There's a few different ways that you can do it. And then work with the hair light and then the key light. So does that answer your question?
I used to do a lot of way back when. I used to do a lot of foreground stuff. I mean, if, you know, cups and bottles and have, you know, hidden view, you know, just kind of everything in the foreground. It kind of got distracting for me a little bit. So throughout the years, now I'm concentrating more on the background. I want to be able to see my subject, their eyes, as much as possible. But depending on what you're doing, man, get some funky stuff, man, and just be really artistic. But if you're going to do anything in the foreground, make sure you can spot those things or light them up really, really nice, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you know, like if you're in a lab or something, you got those, you know, little jars that really colors, and that's really cool stuff, you know?
For me, I like to shoot far away. I like to shoot far away so I can get closer to my subject. And what I mean by that is if the camera is in the back of the room, the subject is going to forget that the mic is on, and they're just going to open up and talk and talk and talk, which you'll hear more about that in the next session. But I like to shoot what's called Farcus. Who knows what Farcus is? Two?
Oh, I
3. Everybody, write down Ray Farkas. That's one of my favorite all-time producers. He wasn't even a photographer. He was a producer. Phenomenal. But that's how I like to shoot. So saying that, he liked to pull the camera way back and zoom in. And that's how I like to light. I like to pull the camera as far back as I can. If I have the room to do it, I would be at the back of the room if I could. So, but
Yeah,
you'll
just
tend to
hang-
get a lot crisper pictures because your depth of field will shorten the further you zoom in, just like your f-stops.
Yep. And Jonathan's right. You know, you just let the camera go and let them subject go. You get the most best interviews that way because they forget that they're being interviewed. It's just more. It's not an interview. It's a conversation, basically.
Yeah, and you
We're
guys
just
will see
talking.
some really good examples if you stay for the use of that sound. Really good examples. You had a question?
Can you give me an example of if we have this?
Oh, the short room. Yeah, the short bus. Yeah, I'll show you. Okay. All right, so let's do this. Let's move these lights in. Move that hair light in. Yeah, that back one. Raise this up. Get out of the way. Move it in. All right. So what they're doing is they're going to move the lights in. All right. This is the problem with the small room. The lights are so close. Look at her hair. Her hair is on fire. Right? You could light a cigarette off of that, no problem. But the thing is, with a small room, you need to get as much diffusion as possible. Okay? So by diffusion, I mean like this: diffusion or a softbox, because that's going to work way better. The other thing is, if you notice on these lights, they have what's called a grid. And what the grid does is it breaks that light down. So for instance, it's going to focus that light more. Okay? For a small room, grids are the way to go. Being a network news photographer for many years, we did a lot of interviews that were in small rooms. And we always used the grid, okay? Because the grid will focus the light and give you less spill. Because the problem is, in a small room, you get a lot of spill, okay? Does that make sense, spill? Okay, so try to focus your lights. If you can get grids, I know they're expensive, but if you can just get one, it would be worth it. And you will be so much more happy with that lower room. But
Now, with the white wall, should I?
with the white wall, man, that's just like
Yeah.
bad 101 right
Yeah.
there. So the white wall, again, like where did that pattern go? Oh yeah, here you go. Right here. Cheap pattern, okay? Now you want the wall to be a different color? Use a gel, okay? Because there's many different types of gels, obviously. Obviously, here, I'll show you.
Yeah, we have these.
And if you have them, use them. Use them to light the wall.
Okay.
But again, be careful, okay? Because you don't want to spill all that light. And that light, because it's a white wall, will bounce right back, okay? So my suggestion for small rooms, grids, pattern makers, I mean, $2 at Hobby Lobby. And every time I go to Hobby Lobby, my wife makes so much fun of me because I'll sit there for hours while she's going looking for fabric, just, yeah. But it's the cheapest, simplest way to make your subject look good in a small room. Cool?
And two, you can invest in a backdrop too.
In a backdrop, yeah.
Just throw a backdrop, and there's different colors. They're probably 30, 40 bucks.
And again,
There's huge, and then there's some small ones. Just set it up, takes 2 minutes, and then
Right.
knock yourself
and
out.
again, Hobby Lobby.
Yeah, there you
Go
go.
get some fabric. I mean, it's cheap. Just get, a yard of whatever. So you have a different color on the back wall rather than white. So, yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, those are just options. So.
Throw them out because we got 5 minutes. Go for it.
Two-person interview, getting light from the other side.
Two-person interview.
Yeah.
So again, with 2 people, I would say go with the softbox.
Yeah.
If you can. I know softboxes are expensive, but if you have one, it's going to save you so much time. But for a 2-person interview, are you talking interviewing 2 people at once?
No, face-to-face.
Face-to-face. Okay. So for that, it would just be one grid this way. So let me get you guys to turn that light off. And then you're going to move it forward. And you're going to get it right here. All right? Back it up, though, because you need to get it on here. So here's the trick. That's good, right there. Go ahead and flip it on for me. All right. So what I've done is I've lit her hair, right? I've just lit the back. But now, and it's hard for you to see. Can you take the camera off the tripod and just shoulder it? And then come around to show me.
Atta girl.
There you go. Hand for Carmen, everybody. All right. So now, she's lit and I'm lit. One light. And then we would do the same with another light. We would go from the
Right.
back
Yeah.
to the front. Does that make sense? Okay.
And then don't try not to cross. You know, there's a line that you don't want to cross. So stay on this side, and then when you come across, you know, get cutaways. So if you go across, you go in post, they're not going to match. They're going to be facing the same way. So there's always an imaginary line when you walk into a room. So try not to cross that line at all. It's going to save you in post.
The line, the access, the 180
line, yeah.
rule.
Yep.
If you guys don't know what that is, look that up. It's very good. There's a really good. Did you go to MPPA? So there's a really good video by Dave Wertheimer, and he kind of goes through that, and I'll have to find it and send a link out.
Yeah. No, they
But-
have some really. Do they still have that?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
wow.
online.
Yeah, I definitely advise to go down there.
But if you're going to look for that,
Oklahoma.
look for evil of access, and that will teach you everything you need to know. Okay, evil of access. Just YouTube it. You're good.
Yeah, and there's rules and there's no rules, so all rules are made to be broken. But you know, just like I said before, guys, you know, just have fun. Just do what you love the best. Find a creative niche that you own and run with it. You know, my style is more. Have you guys ever seen E60, ESPN E60? Love that show. If you never saw it, take a look. It's on internet. It comes on ESPN. That's my kind of storytelling. That's kind of my style. I've always tried to kind of mimic that as much as possible. But E60, it's good. It's all sports, but it's good, solid storytelling mixed in with a really, really cool video, and the way they put it together, it's amazing. But yeah, create your own little niche and own it. Every single day, you got to own that every day. And be proud of what you guys do.
Yeah, be very proud to be a storyteller, to be what you do, because without us, everything's just radio, okay? And that's all the time we have. If you guys want to find us or ask us a question, come find me. I'm very open. I'll answer anything you need to know, and there's a lot of good talent in here. So meet people today, mingle, and learn as much as you can. Thank you so much. You guys were great.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, as well as our volunteers today. One quick thing, there's about a 30-minute refreshment break that'll be happening right now in the room next door. After that, back in this room, we will have audio for video production. Okay. Once again, thank you, Ike and Jonathan. Well done.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you very much.